What's up, guys? It's Luke Rollins again, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So today I'm going to be doing the Spell movie review, so let's get started. While flying to his father's funeral in rural Appalachia, an intense storm causes Marquis to lose control of the plane carrying himself and his family. He soon awakens wounded, alone and trapped in Mrs. Eloise's attic. Eloise claims she can nurse him back to health with a hoodoo figure she made from his blood and skin. Unable to call for help, Marquis desperately tries to break free from her dark magic and save his family from a sinister ritual before the rise of the blood moon. I saw this movie a couple nights ago, and I gotta say, guys, this movie is kind of in the middle. It has some good things and it has some bad things in this movie. So I'm gonna talk about some of the good things that I liked about this movie before I dig into some of the bad things about this film. Okay, guys, so the director of this movie is Marquis. He directed movies like The House at the End of the Street and the movie Hush back in 2008. Okay, guys, but anyways, this movie mostly revolves more around Omari Hardwick's character, who has recently lost his father. We don't know how he passed away, but we know he passed away. In this movie first starts off with Omari Hardwick's character when he was a little kid, and he was being abused by his father back then. Then fast forward present day, his father has recently passed away, and now his family is planning on going to back to Omari Hardwick's character, Marquis, his hometown where he was born when he was little. He hasn't been there in a long, long time. He doesn't remember, what was going on there, but they end up, flying there to his hometown. And as you guys have seen in the trailer, on their way there, they get into this really bad plane accident by a huge storm. Now his hometown is somewhere in the country or somewhere like down in the hills, which I like about this movie is because it really sets up that horror vibe, that the setting of this movie takes place in the middle of nowhere, not really good cell service. There's no stores, no towns, just it's in the middle of nowhere. But, that's what I like about this movie. It's the setting of this movie where it takes place in the middle of nowhere. It really sets that horror vibe up. Now, this movie does start off slow, and that kind of was a little bit annoying. It doesn't really, grab your attention, but it did start off a little bit slow. But as this movie starts to proceed throughout the whole movie, this movie does get a little bit intense. And if you're into disgusting horror movies like I am, then you're going to like this movie. It does have some disgusting, horror vibes in this movie, that I actually, liked in this movie and made this movie more scary. Now, the other good part of this movie that I actually really liked about this movie is the other main cast member of this movie, Loretta Devine, starring as Eloise. She's some, lady who is into this voodoo magic and this creepy, spell nonsense. I actually really liked her character. She kind of made this movie feel extremely real and extremely terrifying, to watch. She made this, this weird little voodoo looking doll that, kind of looked exactly like Omari Hardwick's character, Marquis. And anything that happens to that doll happens to him, whether it's, taking his tongue out of his mouth or, using a pin needle to, stab it. It kind of affects him. It hurts him. But that's one thing I like about this movie is the voodoo, magic in this movie. And I really like Eloise's character in this movie. Another thing I really appreciated about this movie, and something I actually liked about this movie, is, Omari Hardwick's character, Marquis. He's trapped in this room. This movie it's kind of relating to, if you guys have seen the movie Misery, except Misery is much better than this movie and well put together. But this movie is kind of like a cheap version of, Misery. They try to, what do you call it? They try to, follow, the movie Misery's footsteps. They try to add some of the elements from that movie, which, I didn't really, appreciate. But I do like that they tried to switch some things up, add more of. So, for instance, Omari Hardwick's character is locked up in this room, and he would, try to, escape, come up with all of these, ideas of how to get out of this, room. Each time he tries to get out of that room, something always ends up happening to him, whether he's being caught or something. And that's what I just love about this movie. And it makes this movie much more tense. Okay, guys, so now I'm going to dig into some of the bad things about this movie, and some things that I didn't really approve of, and some things that I didn't really like about this movie. Okay, guys, so like I said in the beginning, this movie kind of follows Misery's footsteps. So if you've seen the movie Misery, the guy gets in a car accident on the way to, I think, his job or some type of interview or something like that. He gets into a car accident. This random woman out of nowhere finds him, and the guy's a famous author. And this woman finds him, takes him back to her house, and keeps him there. His leg is broken, but he keeps him there, trapped in this room, and tries to stall him, saying, "You need to get better first," and all that. That movie is kind of similar to this, but Misery is much more better and well put together, like I said. And I just didn't really approve of them trying to copy some of those elements of one of the best horror movies of all time, Misery. But that's something I didn't really like, is it kind of felt like they were really trying to copy the other movie, Misery, and I just didn't really approve of it. Now, another thing about this movie is, if you guys know Omari Hardwick, he's been in several, I guess, movies, not really famous movies. He's been in one of the best shows on Stars, Power, and yeah, he's been in some movies, but if you know Omari Hardwick, he hasn't been in like a whole bunch of standout movies, main movies that will grab your attention. And I just don't feel like Omari Hardwick's character really, stood out in this film. Yeah, his acting didn't really go well with this film. I kind of liked Loretta Devine's character much better, starring as Eloise. The weird lady who does all this voodoo magic on him. She's kind of like the main, cast star of this movie. She kind of stands out more than anyone else in this movie. And yeah, Omari Hardwick's character really wasn't really a good choice. But I do, like some of the things about this movie. Now, another thing that I didn't really like about this movie, something it could have done better, is the pacing of this movie. This movie is kind of, it's kind of slow in the beginning and then kind of off and on. This movie is basically a little bit slow. It kind of makes you feel a little bit impatient. Nothing really exciting happens. He's just locked in this room, and kind of going along with this whole, scenario with Eloise trapping in this room, trying to, make nice with her, so maybe he can get out. But the pacing of this movie was not as good as you guys would think. In the trailer, there was a whole bunch of stuff happening, and yeah, the pacing in this movie was very slow, but there were some tense scenes in this movie that I really did like about this movie. Okay, guys, so if I'm going to rate this movie, I'm going to give it 4 stars, a C+. This movie is somewhat entertaining. The pacing of this movie could have been better. And the main cast star, Omari Hardwick, could have been better, or a different person should have been chosen. He didn't really stand out in this movie as much as Loretta Devine. Loretta Devine stole the show as this weird voodoo woman who does, I don't know, a whole bunch of spells and stuff. And this movie is a little bit extremely tense and a little bit disgusting and gory if you're into that stuff. Okay, guys, but if you're looking for a nice, horror movie, not that scary, this movie is a good movie for you. It's somewhat entertaining, like I said, and yeah. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you didn't like this video, hit the dislike button. And if you're new to my channel, don't forget to like, comment, and hit that subscribe button. And I'll see you guys in the next movie review. Bye, guys, and have a good day.